Welcome, everybody, to the second annual Shaping the Future of DTC webinar, Trends and Predictions in E-Commerce for 2025. I am Dove Karp from Chargeflow, your holistic chargeback solution. By the way, everybody hear me? I hope so. Great. This year, we're doing things a bit differently. Instead of just listening to like a bunch of presentations, we're actually going to make this a bit more interactive. So the webinar will be divided into two halves, 5 panelists in each, ensuring a more engaging discussion between the panelists. Each half will be close to an hour or so, possibly a bit shorter. And the panelists will each be given in the beginning about 5 minutes for a quick introduction about themselves and given some context to kind of what they're going to be presenting about or speaking about. And then afterwards, I'm going to moderate a panel discussion, asking a mix between prepared questions and ones we're receiving in real time from the audience. Some of the topics we'll be covering are emerging trends in D2C and e-commerce, how to navigate tariffs and trade wars, innovation in payment technologies, understanding consumer behavior, new marketing strategies, and future predictions. Today, you'll get to hear from some of the brightest minds in the industry, including Ibuka Chukwanwi from Gorgeous, Zoe Khan from Inevitable Agency, Alexa Kilroy from Firmat, Ellie Weiss from Yapo, Mia Healy from Triple Whale, Nick Sharma from Sharma Brands, Dan Moshkovich from Chargeflow, Jonathan Snow from Avenue Z, Ron Shaw from Avi, and Taylor Holiday from Common Thread Collective. We also have several giveaways peppered throughout, including $100 gift cards. And at the end, we do have a lucky winner who will receive a MetaQuest VR headset. So make sure you stick around to the end. So now, without further ado, I'd like to welcome our first panel. That will be Ibuka Chukwanwi, who's an onboarding partner over there, manager at Gorgeous, Zoe Khan, who's the CEO. Oh, we got Zoe here or no? Yeah, Zoe is here. Zoe Khan, who's the CEO and founder of Inevitable Agency, Alexa Kilroy, Director of Marketing Firma, Ellie Weiss, VP Retention Advocacy from Yapo, and Mia Healy, Director of Technology Partnerships from Triple Whale. Yeah, are we going with Zoe or we're going to go with Nick? I see. Okay, we'll see who ends up. Maybe we'll go with Nick. Oh, here's Zoe. Zoe, we can put Owen.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
Okay.
Awesome. Welcome.
I'm joining from my phone because the laptop's not working, but I'm here now. Thank you.
No
guys.
problem. Great to meet everybody. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to have a little bit of an introduction from each of you. You can go one to the next. I'm not sure if your screen looks like mine, but just give a little intro from yourself, maybe a mini bio, something that's interesting that you're seeing right now, and then we can take it from there. Maybe Ellie, you'll start.
Yes. Before we kick off, Nick, is the background real? Is that for real?
Yeah. This is very real. You can touch the walls like it looks. It's
Nick,
very real.
okay. Nick is single-handedly making us all feel like we are not trying hard enough. I am Eli Weiss, spent my career at brands like Olipop and Jones Road Beauty before quarter-life crisising and going to a SaaS company that a lot of people here hate. We've since had a lot of fun. Like, I joined Yapo a year and a half ago. It's been the highlight of my career. Very amorphous, blurry title, do a bunch of things. My title means nothing, but I try to help bring Yapo back to the market and kind of get to what we call internally 2.0. Yapo does a bunch of things: reviews, loyalty, email, and SMS. Currently based in New Jersey, temporarily in Tel Aviv for the month. And I have a background that's not nearly as nice as Nick's.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Maybe we'll go to Alexa.
Hey guys, I'm Alexa. I'm the VP of Marketing at Firmat. I've been at Firmat for about a year now. If you're not familiar with Firmat, we help you tailor every touch point. So your landing page, your PDP, and your cart experience, you can all create in Firmat so that you can create really detailed and targeted and personalized shopping journeys for every click, every QR code scan, all that sort of thing. My background, I actually worked in growth marketing and advertising. The brand side, I was largely in like supplements before going to Triple Whale as head of brand for a little bit. Then I was at Stay AI in the subscription and retention space, and now I've been here at Vermont. So been in ecom land for quite a while now. Love the game, love the players in it, and excited to be here and chat with you guys today.
Thank you so much, Alexa. Ibuka, you want to say hello?
Absolutely. Hi, everyone. My name is Ibuka, and I am an onboarding tech partner manager at Gorgeous. I've been at Gorgeous about over a year now, and before this, I was at a different fintech solution company. Being a onboarding partner manager means that I get to work with a lot of DTC brands on helping them improve their customer service through new and emerging tech. Super excited to be here. Just to get a bit of a background, Gorgeous is a conversational AI platform for e-commerce merchants. So we work with brands on how to speak to their customers, improve the overall customer support solution. Yeah, very excited to be here. Looking forward to chat with everyone.
Okay, thank you, Ibuka. Amia?
Hello, everyone. My name is Mia Healy. I'm the Director of Tech Partnerships here at Triple Whale. I've been with Triple Whale for over 2 years now. Alexa was actually the one who brought me over. We overlapped for a little bit of time. So yeah, been in the e-com world for over 6, almost 7 years now. Previously, I was at Gorgeous and some other SaaS solutions prior to that. And yeah, now I'm at Triple Whale. Triple Whale, for anyone who's not familiar, we are the agent-powered intelligence platform for your entire brand. Obviously, there's been tons of talk and news around tariffs and how that's impacting brands. So really excited to share some more insights around that and to be here today.
All right. Thank you, Mia. Zoe?
Hello, guys. Thanks for having me. I am the owner of Inevitable Agency, which is a CX agency that I accidentally created after getting asked lots and lots to help with consulting on CX brands when I didn't know what that even meant. And so it developed really naturally, helped lots and lots of brands now improve their CX through support, experience, retention. I got my experience from Ghost and Chomps was my first 2 like big CX wins in the space. So love to talk retention, customer experience, very customer centric, and excited to be here today. Thank you, guys.
All right, thank you so much. Okay, so what's going to happen is I have several questions that I have prepared. Many of them are kind of targeted a little bit towards you individually, but everybody please feel free to chime in of something that's interest. I would love it. Okay, so we'll start off with Mia. So as supply chains realign, which international markets present the greatest opportunity?
Yeah, so like I mentioned before, tons of news are coming out. And I think the biggest thing is while a lot of these announcements feel very impactful, they feel really big, I'm sure a lot of people feel really stressed as well. What's important to remember is that the situation as a whole, super, super fluid. Honestly, I wouldn't really recommend making any major changes to your factory mix or like your countries of origin just yet, because this situation is changing so quickly. I mean, we're hearing new changes literally every single day. So before overhauling like your entire sourcing strategy, we recommend looking for some margin gains in 3 major areas first before taking that route. So the first thing you want to start with is try negotiating with your supplier first. So revisit your existing pricing with your existing manufacturers, especially if your contracts are outdated. So this is that first recommendation that we have, is negotiating with your existing suppliers first. The second one is tariff engineering. So small changes in design, materials, packaging can really shift a product into a more favorable HS code with lower duty rates. So for example, modifying a product's functionality might reclassify it from a tax commodity to a duty exempt device. So you can get a little creative there. So take a look into some engineering as well. And then the last one, we recommend smart sourcing trials. So rather than fully relocating production, test alternative suppliers in some lower tariff countries. So like India, Bangladesh, Mexico, through some short run sprints. So this lets you compare those true landed costs without risking any core operations. So like the overall message here is to just like see how you can get creative with what you have already without making these like really huge overhauls, because things are literally changing by the hour, by the minute. So you don't want to do like a huge overhaul just yet. Start with some of those like 3 key areas that I mentioned.
Amazing. Anybody else want to chime in about international markets? Okay, cool. No problem. Maybe Alexa, this one's for you. How are shifting trade policies affecting consumer expectations during the purchase process?
Yeah, I mean, generally, the volatility that we're seeing in the market right now is inspiring people to be a little bit more conscious with their disposable income. And so I think where you'll see like your heavy spenders are heavy spenders. They remain heavy spenders largely during no matter what's going on in the market. And so like your extremely loyal, high LTV, like long-term customers who you've already really built a relationship with are probably going to stick with you, but the customer acquisition piece is going to get a little bit more difficult right now because folks are just going to be less likely, or a large portion of folks are going to be less likely to impulse buy. So the way that I've been describing this to the brands that I've been working with is like you want to make sure that your product is like a medicine rather than a vitamin for them, right? So like you have to really connect to the pain points that they're feeling, make it very easy for them to justify the purchase. It sounds bad because like obviously we want people to be responsible with their money during economic periods, but after all, it is our job, right? We have to make money on these brands. So your job is to really ensure to people that like the purchase that they're making with you is a good and solid and like meaningful purchase for them in this time when perhaps their ability to spend their disposable income is different than it was maybe 6 to 8 months ago. The other thing that we're seeing a lot is just that like we're seeing two different perspectives on the brand side right now. We're seeing brands who are like, we're throwing a tariff sale. We need to move our warehouses and change our whole business. And now we're throwing this like 20% off tariff sale. We're also seeing brands that are doing like additional tariff surcharges, like at the point of conversion. And then we're seeing brands that are doing absolutely nothing at all and just kind of like forging ahead and making their decisions in the background. That latter group is the brand where we're seeing the best performance right now. So I know while it is really easy to kind of like think about fire saling things, think about, like adding on these tariff surcharges at the point of conversion, I'd encourage you to, before you at least start to roll that out, like please AB test it against a couple different options rather than just like full sending it, because consumers are still very wary. They don't really totally understand the background process of what makes our brands thrive and operate. And so trying to like front load information to them, kind of confuse them, make them think that maybe your brand might not exist in 6 months when they purchase something right now. It's just like a very bad consumer experience. And so doing the best that you can to make the changes that you need to keep your business thriving in the back end while keeping your brand presence, strong in the forefront is like the best advice that I feel like I can give brands across the board right now.
Yeah.
Is
And
there
just
any-
to like,
Oh,
sorry,
yeah,
go
please.
ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was just going to say also to add on to that too, like to Alexa's point of just not changing everything all at once. Consumers are literally going through change fatigue right now. There is so much going on in the world that if they can feel a sense of familiarity with a brand, especially if it's your existing customers, if they can feel a sense of familiarity with your brand where this one thing I love has remained unchanged in the sense of all of the different economic changes that are happening, I feel like that goes so much farther and they're so much more likely to make a purchase. To Alexa's point, like we're seeing a higher conversion with brands that are remaining with their roots and remaining unchanged in that sense. So I feel like that also goes back to like the existing trust that consumers have with your brand. And for the consumers who are new to your brand, it also kind of in a same way also again provides that sense of familiarity for them as well, because this is also a new brand that they are possibly exploring and giving them a little bit of a sense of like the shopping experience that they are used to versus like everything that we're seeing online with again, like the tariff surcharges or like the tariff sales. And it kind of just like in the subconscious reminds them of everything that's going on in the world. So it again provides just a little bit of that sense of like safety almost, I feel, as a consumer. So just like echoing that onto Alexa's point too.
That's a great point. I mean, one of the things that I'm thinking just as a consumer is that I know some brands are thinking about adding, like, I think Amazon was trying to do this, like a tariff tax, in there to include it. Or if there's, I want to know what is your experience with any delays in production or shipping? Anybody out there, have you had issues with this? Like once this thing kicked in?
I can speak on this because we've talked about this for the experience in general of like do if you have to increase prices, do you do it right on the product or do you put it in the cart, etc. And I think that the biggest thing is just not making it a surprise fee at checkout. I mean, we all on this call have seen the complaints of the shipping protection being added as a $2 charge, and people are really upset about it, rightfully so. So adding on anything bigger than that is, as long as you don't want surprise fees for your consumers. So I think that it goes back to like the transparency and like the communication and what you're doing on like about everything without scaring your consumers, like you said. And the consumers that trust the brand, and I really like Alexa and Mia that you touched on that, like the brands who truly care about their consumers and don't forget that the consumers are the ones purchasing and they're not just a number, etc. Yeah, you don't want to frighten your consumers with those surprise pricing. So it all comes back to building that trust and having that communication with your customers.
Nice. Thank you so much for that. The next question, maybe Eli or Ibuka, what retention challenges should brands prepare for kind of to stay competitive in 2025?
I can go here. So I think there's a few big challenges to think of. I think one of the major ones is the rising cost of customer acquisition. Also, customers today now have endless options as well. Digital ad prices have shot up. There's been a lot of privacy changes. So tracking has become less effective as well, which generally means it's harder to acquire new customers. So if a brand doesn't retain the ones that they've worked so hard to get, they're in trouble. Customers won't hesitate to jump ship. I know I won't, especially if a competitor offers me a better deal or maybe if I feel neglected. And a lot of the brands that we see or a lot of the consumers are saying they switch brands just to get a better price somewhere else, which is very scary for retention. Which just means brands need to prepare to fight harder to keep each customer. Something else that we're seeing today as well is subscription fatigue or maybe the loyalty program overload. So many brands have some sort of subscription model or points program that consumers are getting a bit numb to. I know that I have not signed up to a lot of subscriptions or loyalty programs that have been put in front of me. I just want to buy the product and go. But people generally are getting a bit more choosier about the subscriptions. Brands will have to make their loyalty perks genuinely compelling and not just 5% off coupon. The expectation for personalization is also a double-edged sword. Customers expect you to remember them, their preferences, their history. They want you to tailor the experiences accordingly. And if you don't, they start to feel like a number and start to drift away ever so slightly. So the challenge is also scaling that personalized touch. And there's also the simple fact that consumers are inundated with options, like I mentioned earlier. Maintaining their attention is hard, maintaining affection is hard. And like Alex was saying previously, you have to connect with customers. So the best preparation, in my opinion, is to invest in a holistic customer experience platform across the board. So this includes like great support, engaging with communities, perhaps, for example, Facebook, maybe group of fans, some sort of VIP treatments for best customers, having a robust email, SMS platform that actually provides value. And this is not just like constant bombardment of like sales pitches. But we need to focus on relationship building and not just pushing transactions. So if you're not thinking about retention until after the first sale, I think you're already late. So planning how to keep a customer should start from the very moment that they interact with a brand at the very start.
That's a great point. Now, Eli, you want to add anything?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of the last 6 months has been brands trying to figure out hacks and ways to get their customers to spend more while maybe lacking empathy on what's going to happen over the next 6 months. I think best case scenario is that everyone struggles. Worst case is we enter a large recession. I think, Yeppo has a large data set, and we've actually looked at, 15,000 brands and looked at kind of like repurchase data over the last 6 to 7 months. And what we've seen is even counter to the traditional kind of lipstick index, right, where beauty brands do exceptionally well. In today's day and age, most beauty brands are not doing as well, are not hitting forecasts. Some of the biggest, largest, fastest growing 9-figure beauty brands are struggling. So for us to sit here and think that it'll be an easy 6 months, I think is wrong. I think empathy will be large, just understanding that people won't repurchase at the same rate than they have in the past. But the interesting thing we've seen is that second purchase behavior kind of stayed on par, meaning percentage of brands that are seeing, percentage of orders that are order number 2 have stayed on par, but order number 3 plus has actually gone up. So more brands are seeing repeat behavior than they have 6 months ago. What that means is that once people find a brand that they like, they're sticking to it. So if I spend $100 a month on beauty, I might not sample as much as I did in the past just to stay with the safe brand that I know. But I think like there's really not going to be a ton of hacks. And I think over the next 3 months, even if the tariffs are quote unquote fixed tomorrow, and even if retention is kind of like priority number 1, we're still in for a difficult couple of months. And I think it's going to be the brands that are empathetic and are thinking about their customers versus the brands that are running ads that are, buy our stuff now before the tariff price goes up. Like I think that kind of like short BS strategies are going to look silly in 6 months when we look back and we look at all the brands that ran those, like buy it now before I 10x the price. Like that kind of behavior is probably going to look silly. And the brands that are like, hey, we're doing everything we can to kind of keep pricing as is for the next few months, I think those brands will look back in 6 months and say, wow, they played a long game.
And adding one more thing on that too, just about the retention strategies, product variety, I think is going to be really important because to Eli's point of like people are coming back, but I think brands need to think about their stock and their inventory situation and ensuring that their consumers are like repurchasing a variety of products, because if they only come back for one product and that product goes out of stock because of like even companies have a hard time keeping things in inventory without any logistical struggles as far as just like it's hard to plan for and forecast inventory. So we already know that a lot of brands have halted or did pause bringing in shipments in these last whatever couple weeks and months. And so that won't impact us immediately, but it'll impact us in a couple months when we're trying to figure out how much money to put behind marketing. And you also have to think about your the competitive advantage of having things in stock. If your competitors run out of the item that these consumers are purchasing, they may come to your brand and you may see an increase in just those areas as well. So I really think that the product variety, and right now thinking about introducing other SKUs to your consumers who might be in love with just one, is a really good just tip to try out just in case we do have inventory struggles in the future.
Nice. Thanks. To kind of double down on the on the issues in the future, right? Where this whole webinar is shaping the future of DTC. Have you, any of you, this is from Paul Fileo. He says, in what ways can AI-driven economic forecasting predict potential trade disputes for DTC business and their impact down the line on retail pricing? and what I want to kind of phrase it more is that we try to manipulate is the wrong word. We try to put our impact on the market, right? But also we try to adjust. But is there ways that we've seen kind of that can show trends in which we can address it, especially with kind of this volatility?
This is a tough one because we really are like Alexa, Mia, you touched on it earlier, but there's so many changes going on, and AI is really good, but it actually isn't that great at math. Sometimes like you'll put 1 + 1 = 3, so like expecting AI to help you forecast your what's unpredictable and like we don't even know what's going on. I don't know. I'm not an AI expert, but it just seems like challenging for humans and robots right now.
Yeah, I mean that AI is amazing, but yeah, we're definitely in the middle of an interesting beginning because I've utilized AI. Obviously, we probably all do in many ways, and I put in a certain question, it gave out a certain answer, and then the next day I put in the same exact question, and it gave a different answer, and I said, "Hey, you answered me the other way," and they're like, "Oh wait, you're right. That sorry, I was right yesterday." So using AI as a tool with a maybe a big grain of salt is important. Um, so I guess maybe for Zoe or Eli, what is the most overlooked D2C tool right now for customer experience and customer journey?
Zoe?
Uh, I wanted Eli to say Yotpo. I was waiting for Eli to just be like,
Easy. Easy.
easy. I actually think that customer surveying, so one of my favorite tools is no commerce, and outside of just post-purchase surveying and customizing that, a lot of brands are missing the customization post-survey or post-purchase, but I like to do one-off surveying using no commerce where you can create surveys for your consumers and send it in a Klaviyo segment to different consumer segments. But one of the things we were talking about with this whole tariffs and all these changes, and you're not really sure what to do. And I remind brands like, well, have you asked, like, if you have two options and you have loyal consumers, like, have you just asked them, like, what they prefer? And I think it's like, you can survey consumers in a very like tasteful way, and it going back to like communication and trusting and connecting and building that community with your brand. Customer surveying is a really good way to do it so that your consumers, you're showing your consumers like it's not just about us, it's about you too, and we want to hear your voice. But then you also have to actually take that data and analyze it and find that balance between like making good business decisions, but also listening to your consumers. So I think that no commerce right now for serving your consumers is a underutilized tool at this moment.
The other one I'll add, I think the trend of tools that help your customers get resolutions in an easy way without jumping through hoops. One of them I'm seeing pop up a lot is order editing, which I think is just a fun way to put the power back in the hands of customers. Like the amount of times that I placed an order with Shop Pay or Apple Pay and been like, oh crap, I put my mom's old address. Um, I don't know why it's on my Shop Pay anyway, but that's a separate story. I think in general, like the idea that you don't have to reach out to CX and get some janky chat bot that somebody got excited with AI and wait 3 days and get a response saying like, oh, we wish we can change it, but it shipped already. Putting the power back in the hands of customers to be able to make a change on their orders, they don't have to fight with you, is a fun trend. And I think a tool that is driving the customer experience forward in like a very light and easy way. And it's not Yotpo. See, Zoe?
I really wanted it to be.
Nice. So Mia, speaking of kind of tools and all this stuff, one of the biggest tools to sell is obviously social. So which emerging social platforms are delivering the highest ROI for D2C brands?
I wish I had like a new fun, fresh platform to share. But I mean, Meta continues to dominate and will always continue to dominate. I feel like a strong competitor is TikTok. Like we are seeing our brands have really high performance on TikTok, obviously given all of the looming news and everything. But I mean, all of that even aside, like our brands are still performing really well on TikTok. I think it depends on who your brand is, because if you do have a lower AOV product, those tend to perform better on TikTok because it leads to more impulse buys, which is like the best part about TikTok and TikTok Shop, etc. So we are seeing really high performance on TikTok. So if you do have a like somewhat lower AOV product, you will likely see some good performance on there. And we do recommend diversifying your ad spend. So if you have some experimental budget to play around with, perhaps try it out on TikTok and kind of see how things go for you on there. And then some other verticals that you could consider, we are seeing like some success on Pinterest as well. Obviously, the percentage share of spend is much lower compared to some other conglomerates like Meta. But if you do have a specific vertical that would perform well on a platform like Pinterest, think like very aesthetically pleasing, think like home goods, fashion, the type of verticals that people are seeking on Pinterest, then perhaps that's another area that you could try out. You know, maybe if you do have a higher AOV product like home goods that just wouldn't perform well on TikTok, perhaps there's an opportunity to try that out on Pinterest. So those are the two main platforms I would recommend. Also, going back to TikTok, we are seeing really it's looking really great for customer acquisition specifically, and acquiring new customers at a much cheaper rate as well, which is why brands are really loving it too. So those are the two main recommendations that we're seeing.
All right, to kind of keep on that trend, I'm seeing a lot of AI being utilized for creative. Now, how are you, any of you, utilizing AR for creative versus still going about it the old school way, testing? What are you seeing there?
I have a super hot take, but my hot take is that AI for creative is just not there yet to actually rely on it end to end to create ad assets. I think right now the state of AI is that you need really intelligent, really seasoned prompters to use these AI tools to create you end product, level assets, particularly in like the ad creation and generative AI space. And so even like some of the best tools in the market right now require someone who has a deep understanding of how to prompt that tool properly, and let alone write good prompts. And like I feel like everybody, even all of us who I think are pretty tech savvy and like use AI a lot, we could all probably stand to have like a class in learning how to prompt something well to get the outcome that we want. So when it comes to AI creative, for me right now, and what I'm encouraging brands to do is use it as more of like an ideation or like a brainstorming tool. So get it to like where you have some sort of visual aid to explain what you want a actual designer or creative to develop for you. But even in my best days, like where I feel like I'm really on fire, like I still can't get the text totally right, or I can't get the brand logo totally right on the asset that I'm outputting. And it's really difficult. It's just not, AI is still like smarter than us in certain ways. And it's talking to itself and its own data a little bit more than it's used to talking, even in these like pretty advanced models that are used to, hearing some human language. So the investment is kind of either like you want to invest in someone, a consultant, a person internally who can really learn how to maximize the value and the efficiency of your AI tools. And I think of it like some brands might have like a rev ops person. This is like an AI ops person who can really teach your team how to implement and like learn how to prompt and get meaningful output from these tools. Or if you're not going to go that route and like lean all in, then just understand that like it's going to take you a long time to kind of learn how to get there. The tools take a long time to learn how to get there to where you want them to create complete assets. Or you can use it as like a, 0 to 0.5 or 0 to 0.75 before somebody can take it all the way 0 to 1.
Actually, love that take.
I'm getting a little pushback from our audience about AI. Some people are more pro AI, and actually Jennifer Yoder says she wonders what the panelists' thoughts are on the recent announcement of the partnership between OpenAI and Shopify. Meaning, how do you view AI and the whole entire shopping experience? Since obviously Shopify is interested in that. What are your thoughts about that?
I'll jump in and say from the Shopify side, like we've started conversations around syndication of hundreds of millions of reviews that Shopify is passing along to ChatGPT. So I think it'll be interesting when you think about SEO. I think like SEO over the last 15 years is changing in the future. What we're coining this GEO, generative engine optimization, and really people will be shopping via Gemini and GPT, etc. And it'll become super important to better understand what are the inputs in all these engines to make sure that what you're steering on your website or on your PDP is actually showing up in all these engines. If you search for products that you're playing in, you'll see quite often you're not even showing up, even though you should be top on the list. And they're now adding UTMs as well. So if you look at your traffic, you'll be able to see what percentage of your traffic is actually coming through ChatGPT. But I think it's super early days and really exciting to see shopping change entirely.
You know, it's interesting. I noticed myself, I'm not going to Google for search anymore. I'm typically going to like Grok or ChatGPT or something like that. I feel it's a better user experience, if you will. I don't have to sift through a whole list of stuff. It's kind of just gives you something really dedicated to that. And speaking about that, so Alexa, how are you addressing kind of the growing consumer demand for a frictionless shopping experience?
Yeah, so like scroll brain has permeated all of the audiences. And I think like our consumer attention span, I remember when I was like a baby direct response marketer learning that you have like X amount of seconds to really capture someone's attention or something. Now I swear it's like a fraction of a second now that you have. And one of the things that we are constantly like chatting with our customers about from Mott is that consumers now fully expect that when they click on an advertisement or they visit a page or they get an email and they press a CTA, they need to land on a place in which they can purchase that exact thing that they clicked on. Like that's why they're there. It seems so simple when you say it out loud, but it's amazing how long we've done so many experiments in the marketing and advertising world where we've run ads with multiple different products and we send to some sort of collection page and we like hope people have the capacity to figure out how to get to the product that they wanted to buy and don't get decision fatigue and all these things. The average e-commerce conversion rate for years was like somewhere between 1% and 3%. 3 was like, you're killing it. You're doing so well. Now we're seeing brands that have like 8 to 11%, 8 to 14% conversion rates. And what are they doing? That's so crazy. They're sending ads or email CTA buttons to the exact product in the exact colorway or whatever it is that was defaulted in the asset that they saw, because they do not have the time nor energy to go scroll about and find the thing that was moderately interesting to them in the first place. Like if you want to capture those impulse buys, you got to make it so easy. So making sure that people have really fluid, concise journeys to what they saw, to what they want to buy. The other thing is these like quick payment options. So we're seeing crazy conversion performance when people put their Apple Pay button like directly on their PDP rather than in the cart experience. Because it's like, if you're going to impulse buy and you already landed on that thing that you are interested in, why not even remove the extra steps that you don't need? Like give them the Apple Pay. They already have their card info and their address input. So it's so frictionless for them. It's like putting the shop pay button there, you know, it's just like absolutely frictionless from end to end. And I think the best thing that you can do for your consumers is just basically like present to them when they land on a page, give them the defaulted thing and the thing that they saw. If you show them one of the brands that we work with is Lady Gaga's beauty brand House. And they run a lot of ads of Lady Gaga putting on her own makeup from her own line. And when they send shoppers to a shopping experience that's like the same video creative with the same lipstick in the same shade defaulted with that Apple Pay button, it's like, boom, easy money, printing money. And so I think just making sure that you're doing everything in your basically post click. We do so much to optimize our ads like at the top level. So now let's think about, okay, let's make everything as frictionless as we can from that click onward so that someone can go ahead and spend those dollars without us introducing new ideas, new products, too many other things in front of them that give them that decision fatigue. Like that's the biggest thing that I can offer right now.
Just
Nice,
to pick off Alexa really quick too, to fuel those decisions on your landing pages for those seamless purchases and you know, those quick purchases. Using like going back to like listening to your consumers and like a really good question to ask post-purchase is was there anything that almost stopped you from purchasing today, and using that knowledge and relaying it to your ad team, your paid media team to think about what's going on in the consumer's mind that almost stopped them from purchasing. And then also very underutilized, but very informative is when you have like a help center or like FAQ page on your site and you can see what people are searching on your help center, but not getting an answer, or like what they're looking for or what they're confused about. If you look at that data in your help center, I know Gorgeous gives you all that data when you use it. Shout out Gorgeous. When you actually use it natively in Gorgeous and publish that to your site, you can actually see everything that your customers are searching for, but not getting a result for, or that they're confused about. So I use that to relay it back to our marketing teams so that they know what they can do to improve those landing pages as well, so that there's less friction.
Nice, nice. Just to put a button on the AI conversation, we talked about how it's not so great. Are there areas in which you are using it effectively, that you're seeing, positive ROI?
I can take this. So I think we're embracing AI pretty enthusiastically here at Gorgeous, and I'll touch on a couple points from like Eli and Zoe. It's a huge part of what we're doing, and again, I'm going to speak specifically to Gorgeous. So not just behind the scenes, but front and center of how brands are now interacting with their customers. Last week, you just had our Gorgeous Connect event, and we rolled out one of our newer tools. It's called the Gorgeous Shopping Assistant. So it's essentially an AI-powered concierge that helps customers find exactly what they're looking for within the chat widgets on the brand's website. So someone lands on your site, they're browsing but unsure what to buy. Maybe they type, hey, I'm looking for X, Y, and Z, and instead of waiting for a human agent, the AI immediately recommends personalized options, and it's able to pull real-time info from whatever platform they're using, most likely Shopify. So some of the brands are already using it to see 2-3x conversions from AI-led conversations compared to like standard chats. And beyond that, we've been using AI across the board to drive better support efficiency. So things like automated ticket tagging, order lookups, returns, processing, updating addresses. So Eli, in your case, where you've put in your mom's address on ShopPay, as opposed to waiting a day or two for a customer support agent to respond to you, this is something you can just like send like a quick prompt telling it to update the address, and it asks for some order confirmation or email address, and it makes that change immediately. You don't have to wait for anyone. So we're also able to like instantly pull tracking details from Shopify, update to send it back, no agent needed. So that kind of automation is helping resolve more than 60% of like support tickets, which frees up the support agent's time and lets them focus on higher value, more complex customer needs. Internally, it's also helping our teams move faster. So summarizing longer customer threads, identifying trends in support data, and again, to your point, Zoe, even suggesting health center articles based on the history that we've seen. So in terms of like real ROI that we see, the biggest value comes from time saved. So time saved on repetitive support tasks, revenue gained from shopping assistants converting browsers into buyers, and just a general better overall customer experience. So faster responses, more helpful interactions, less friction. Yeah, we're using AI to push us to that next phase where we don't consider support as a reactive function. We want to be able to drive sales in real time.
I have used these tools a lot too, and I want to also just like touch on that they're really, really good, but they're not magic. Like you do have to, just like anything else, you have to like put your like time and effort into setting it up and like babysitting it for a little bit, but then it's really, really good when you like put the time into it. And I'm really excited. I've seen the shopping assistant real time, and we have like clients that, let's say they're an apparel brand and they haven't optimized their site for like sizing, for example, and you're going through these apparel brands and you're like, man, I like love this top and it's not in an extra small, but I'm clicking through and trying to find my like what is in stock in my size, because they're a newer, or their site's not optimized and they need to work on that. Where like you can talk to the shopping assistant and say, hey, can you show me things of this style in this size? And it really does reduce that friction, and it's really cool. And I think it's similar to, it's like the ChatGPT Shopify shopping, like that. It's like right on your own site. It's super, super cool.
Yeah, from the triple whale side, a lot of the frustrations that we've shared here today, like having to put in a ton of work just to get like the output that you're looking for, is the exact reason why Triple Whale has leaned so heavily into AI. I mean, we launched our, Moby Chat, which was like the baby version of what we have now, like, mid last year. And so the biggest problem that we were noticing is that the issue isn't having enough data. We have so much data. In fact, it's like data fatigue because there's just data everywhere. The biggest problem is, how do you action on that data? What do you use that data for? How can you build or scale your brand even further with that data? And so that's why Triple Whale recently launched our Moby agents. And so we've been using our agents, even just internally for ourselves, and also building some really incredible agents for brands. One brand in particular, we've been pumping out case studies because the sheer success that brands have been seeing from agents has been really, really honestly inspiring and incredible. And the biggest wins that we've been seeing with the agents is time saved, of course. But then also we had one brand, Under Outfit. They literally avoided the need of having to make 5 new hires because they use 12 plus different Moby agents. Some of their agents are ad optimization agents. So they can optimize different trends and adjustments to their meta campaigns. Or I know they also use the coupon and bundle analysis agent, so they can monitor coupon performance or flag anything that's concerning. So they literally have a whole just portfolio of agents. And that's been the biggest wins that we've been seeing with brands, is saving their time. And the nice part too, a lot of those frustrations that we have with ChatGPT, for example, where you have to give it so much information to get the output that you want, that's where brands have been seeing success with Triple Whale's AI specifically, is because Triple Whale's AI is built for their brand. It already has all of that context. You don't have to teach it anything. It already has the context of your business and of e-commerce and retail. So it doesn't need all of that. You're able to just get the output so much faster with just giving it a natural language one-liner, and you have an entire report and an entire agent. So that's what we've been seeing on our side, and that's what a lot of the success that brands have been seeing with Triple Whale agents as well.
Amazing. So I wanted to go back into the kind of the customer support world. So what are you seeing that can level up customer support and especially help kind of retention issues these days? Maybe Eli or Zoe or Ibuka can answer.
Go ahead, Ibuka.
Yeah, so in terms of, okay, let me speak overall for customer support. So some of the biggest issues that we're seeing is customers have sky high expectations from the brands that they're buying from. If they feel like we're paying this amount, we expect responses from you. And that is true. We should give them a response. If they get a canned reply or wait 48 hours, they're already thinking of switching to a competitor. At Gorgeous, we found that a lot of merchants want to stay with a brand if they have a positive experience, most likely stick with this brand. On the flip side is also true that one bad experience and they obviously you risk losing them. So a challenge that we find is delivering consistent high quality support at scale. And this is tough, we find, because as brands start to grow, the support teams get stretched thin. So it's hard to maintain a personal touch. The challenge that's tied to retention is customers have so many options that if you're not actively nurturing them after a purchase, they might not come back. So support is a big part of nurturing. If someone has an issue with an order and your team is not turning this bad experience into a positive one, they can actually lose them. Whereas if they turn them into a long-term customer. So all those small fixes can actually like change that negative experience into a positive one. Brands also struggle with proactively reaching out. So like informing them about like delays in the shipping order, maybe checking if the product met expectations, which can also greatly improve retention. But to Mia's point, she said that they actually have too much data. But we find that it also requires a ton more data and a lot of coordination to do that. So for best practices from our side, we think that omnichannel support is key. Wherever your customers are, that's where you want to meet them. Email, phone, live chat, SMS, WhatsApp, socials, Twitter, Instagram, whatever the case is. Figure out a way to manage those in a unified manner so that nothing falls through the cracks. Customers should be able to get great service wherever they're at, whether you send them a tweet or if you ping them on Instagram and tag them. Leveraging automation and AI for the repetitive stuff. So using chatbots or automated email responses or help centers or FAQ centers that allow customers get instant help so that the agents are not like answering mundane repetitive questions. Something else I want to add there is to never fully remove the human element. So the best setup for AI that we've ever seen is an AI and a human together. Being able to personalize that support, having the agents quickly access customers or their history or their preferences so that they can tailor the conversation. That makes customers feel very valued. And something else that we like to focus on here is training the support team. So train them on soft skills like empathy, active listening, creative problem solving, gold. And even if the AI does draft an answer, there's always someone to review it. There's ways of rating the response positively or negatively, making sure that the tone is right. And finally, we need to close that loop. So we want to use the interactions as learning opportunities. So if lots of people are asking the same questions or facing the same issues, we feed that back to the product team or we create like a better help guide content. So just to summarize, I know this was a little long-winded. The challenges are scale and expectations, and the way to overcome them is a combination of like very smart technology and customer-centric support. So brands that nail that very fast are going to win at retention in 2025.
Amazing. Awesome. Yep.
I was just going to add one other thing that was really, really well said, and almost just like wanted to say retweet. But I've audited hundreds of brands' customer support inboxes at this point, and one really big thing that helps with that efficiency and the expectations, because a lot of times, unfortunately, the expectations are coming from like the support agents are getting these KPIs from like leadership that has never been in the tickets and doesn't really understand how like many like steps sometimes things can take, and so it's really hard. But one of the things that really helps teams is like optimizing and organizing your dashboards so that like you can understand what are the high priorities and in your team. Because if someone's using their like help desk, their customer support platform as just like a Gmail inbox, you're not utilizing all of the efficiencies that you can. And simply just organizing by priority and helping your team prioritize and giving them direction of like, here's what we need to do first, rather than just be like, answer all of these customers right now and do it quick and don't stop until it's done. Giving direction and being like really going in there and organizing helps those challenges and just bubbles up. So always like focusing on that foundation of like the processes, because unfortunately I've seen when it's unorganized, and you get an influx of tickets, it's almost you lose a lot of customer trust if they can't get through it. And that comes from not having a good foundation of organizing your support team's workflows.
All right, I can continue this conversation with all of you. I thought this was fantastic. I hope you did too. I hope the audience thought that this first panel was amazing, because you all were. So I just have to give a big thank you. We're now going to be transitioning to the second panel. But first, we're going to have a giveaway. So this giveaway is for a $100 gift card. So 3 people will be receiving the $100 gift card. And let me just bring this up. Okay. So the first winner of the $100 gift card is Adam Sherlock. Adam Sherlock, congratulations. The second winner for the $100 gift card to the store they're choosing is Jackie Ullman. Jackie Ullman. And the third winner is Will Piccoli. Will Piccoli. So thank you. Congratulations to the 3 of you. Our team will be in touch with you after this. And we're going to keep it moving.